Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Sabella Grady and I'm the Elevate Program Manager at the Australian Academy of Technological Sciences and Engineering. I'm delighted to see so many of you joining today to learn more about our wonderful Elevate Boosting Women in STEM scholarships. Joining me today I have Emily O'Neill, who is our Program Coordinator, Georgie Oven, Elevate Program Administrator, and Georgia Mason, who's one of our amazing Elevate scholars, as well as 2 Auslan interpreters. We have Mel as well, who's providing the excellent captions you should be seeing on your screen. And thank you very much to all 3 of you for your assistance today and for helping to make this session accessible. To view the captions, click on the More CC icon and select Show Subtitle. The structure of today's session will be a 40-minute overview of the program aims, the support the Elevate program provides, and the logistics of the application process, followed by a Q&A session. During the Q&A, we'll answer as many questions as possible, so please feel free to put your questions in the Q&A throughout the webinar. The chat can be used for links or comments, but not for questions. We'll also be recording today's session if you did want to revisit following today's event. As we gather today, we do so in a spirit of reflection and respect for the traditional owners across all the lands on which we're meeting today. From Sunday the 7th until the 14th of July is NAIDOC Week, a week dedicated to recognising and honouring the history, culture and achievements of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. NAIDOC Week invites all Australians to come together to learn about, appreciate and embrace the rich cultural tapestry of the oldest continuous living culture on Earth. This year's theme, Keep the Fire Burning, Black, Loud and Proud, reminds us of the strength, resilience and enduring spirit of our First Nations people. It's a call to action for all of us to listen deeply, engage respectfully, centre Indigenous voices and amplify them, celebrate their stories and walk beside the traditional owners of this unceded land in this journey towards reconciliation. We acknowledge the deep history of innovation embodied by traditional knowledge and recognise Indigenous Australians as the holders of the first science knowledge in Australia. In this spirit, we at ATSI, coming to you from beautiful Ngunnawal country today, will take this moment to acknowledge the traditional owners of country throughout Australia and pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. We recognise the continuing connection to land and waters and that sovereignty has never been ceded. Always was, always will be Aboriginal land. So a little bit about ATSI. ATSI is a learned academy of independent experts helping Australians understand and use technology to solve complex problems. ATSI brings together more than 900 fellows, Australia's leading experts in applied science, technology and engineering, to contribute to robust and practical thinking to Australia's big debates through advocacy and government. Our strategic goals, fostering diversity in the next generation, is where our STEM careers initiatives contribute greatly, including the Elevate program. ATSI was selected from a range of organisations as the sole implementation partner of Elevate, since we operate across industry, academia, education and government, and we demonstrated a strong collaborative approach to co-designing the program in consultation with the sector. This is also demonstrated through our diverse partners, which include industry, academia and government, and we've enjoyed working with all of our partners, especially the Department of Industry, Science and Resources, which provided the seed funding for this work. Our strategic goals link directly with our policy priorities, and they're determined collectively by our fellowship. Exciting and educating young people in STEM skills, preparing Australia's workforce for the future and ensuring there are the necessary digital skills, adaptability and resilience. The Academy has a strong focus on diversity and inclusion. There is a gender equity focus, development of a diversity and inclusion toolkit for genuine diversity and inclusion, STEM-focused SMEs to embed diversity and inclusion in their key activities of recruitment, retention and promotion. The Elevate program aims to address gender inequities in STEM. We do that by fostering more women and non-binary led industry academia collaborations in applied research and business, growing professional skills of women in STEM, and by propelling women and non-binary people into leadership. Elevate has been designed around 4 strategic goals. You can see them on your screen there. So Elevate scholars influence and make change. People from historically underrepresented groups in STEM engage with STEM career pathways. Elevate scholars have strong networks within the STEM ecosystem, and we aim to demonstrate best practice in long-term STEM equity program delivery. The Elevate Boosting Women in STEM program was established with a foundational investment by the Australian Government Department of Industry, Science and Resources, as I briefly mentioned before. And that was as part of the Australian Government's 7-year $41.2 million commitment to boosting the next generation of women in STEM fund. A network of partner organisations from across industry and academia support program delivery. The program provides wraparound supports, which are the foundations for the experience of the Elevate scholars. There are 4 key components of the program for studies, and they include the scholarship to assist them with the costs associated with studying. And that scholarship is untied, so we support our scholars to use that money however they best see fit. Ongoing support during university studies. All of our scholars have access to a 24-hour wellbeing support service called Sonda, which offers counselling, mental health and wellbeing resources, as well as some personal safety features. We also offer mentoring and networking. Our scholars have access to events with our partners and with ATSE networks, including fellows. We facilitate peer and professional mentoring to foster networks within the scholar cohort as well. And finally, we provide our scholars with access to skills building workshops that will help them to develop skills such as effective communication, project management, and leadership skills, among others. The Elevate program is also really about creating a community of like-minded women and non-binary people who are in a similar position studying at university and who are there to support each other, to celebrate the wins and learn from the challenges together. Today, we're lucky enough to have one of our current undergraduate scholars here to talk with us about their experience in the Elevate program. So it's now my great pleasure to introduce Georgia Mason, who is an Elevate undergraduate scholar studying a Bachelor of Computer Science at the University of Adelaide. Over to you, Georgia.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. So yeah, I'm Georgia. I am one of the 2023 undergraduate Elevate scholars. And I'm studying computer science at the University of Adelaide. So this program has been an amazing experience so far. I have been able to attend many beneficial events, met fellow scholars with the same passion as in STEM as I do. And I've also felt really supported throughout the program, with my studies. So one of my favorite events that I've been to so far was the science communication workshop, which was really interesting. However, the social events and the quiz night that we had was also really fun and an opportunity to learn about all the different degrees and industries that each scholar is passionate about as well. I was also able to take over the ATSE Instagram for a day and just show to everyone what a typical uni day in my life looks like, which was a lot of fun. So yeah, and I've also felt really supported throughout the program. The team always checks up on everyone and wishes us luck during exam season. And the wellbeing service they offer has been really amazing, and make sure that I'm prioritizing my mental health during my studies. And of course, the financial aspect has been a big weight off my shoulders during university. I've been able to work less and focus more on my course. I can afford textbooks and transport to and from campus. So this has been really amazing, and I'm so grateful for the team and just to be a part of this amazing program. So I really recommend everyone to apply. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks so much for sharing, Georgia. So now I'll run through program logistics. So there are 3 main eligibility criteria for the program. So first, applicants need to identify as a woman or non-binary person. While the term non-binary is regularly used to include all people who do not identify as a man or woman, we do acknowledge that this term may not describe your own gender identity, and therefore you are welcome to nominate a different term. So there is space for that in the application, and that won't make you ineligible. Second, you need to be enrolling as a domestic student at an Australian university. This usually means that you're an Australian citizen or a permanent resident, but this does vary across universities, and some also consider students with humanitarian visas as domestic students. So we base this on what your university considers you as as a domestic student. Unfortunately, international students are not eligible for the program. The third is you must be planning to undertake a STEM degree at an Australian university commencing in 2025. So current students are not eligible to apply. You need to be commencing a degree next year. And then STEM degrees are degrees administered by STEM faculty such as science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Students planning to take undergraduate honours studies are also eligible to apply in this category. Unfortunately, non-STEM faculty such as faculty of arts or those who are planning to undertake a degree that qualifies an individual for a specific occupation like medicine, nursing, or speech pathology are not eligible to apply. So there are 3 different categories of scholarships. So we've got our undergraduate scholarship, which this session is focused on. So those are for applicants wishing to commence kind of an undergraduate degree like a bachelor's degree or an undergraduate honours degree, as mentioned before, so a single year's honours degree, and that has to be a new enrolment. And then we also have 2 other categories. We've got our postgraduate research degree and our leadership scholarships category. So postgraduate research is our Doctor of Philosophy, Master of Philosophy, or Masters by Research. And our leadership scholarship, we've got STEM professionals who are looking to take on degrees related to leadership qualifications, such as an MBA, or do a STEM Masters by coursework to develop skills addressing industry priority areas of national importance. So we'll go into more detail about the undergraduate category now. So the eligible degrees for the undergraduate category must be administered by a STEM faculty. Ineligible degrees are those administered by a non-STEM faculty or degrees that qualify you for a specific occupation. So these are usually your kind of health-based degrees and things like medicine, nursing, speech pathology, veterinary medicine, and in dentistry. There are priority disciplines within this category. So these are the priority disciplines. We've got advanced manufacturing, computer science, engineering, mathematics, natural and physical sciences, physics, robotics, software development, space science, and spatial science. If you're doing a STEM degree that's not in this priority discipline, you are still eligible to apply, but it is good to keep these priority disciplines in mind. You are eligible to apply for the program if you are commencing a double degree, provided one degree is a STEM degree and is studied continuously during the scholarship. So you're welcome to apply, for example, if you do a Bachelor of Science with a Bachelor of Arts. However, you will only receive payments while you are studying your STEM degree. Vertical double degrees are also supported, so they're eligible under the undergraduate scholarship category, even if you're doing, for example, a Bachelor of Science with a Master of Science double degree, but they're for a maximum of 3 years full time, even if the vertical double degree extends beyond the period of the scholarship. All right, so now we'll move to scholarship payments. These are the amount of scholarship payments by category for the maximum length of the degree or maximum amount for the category. So scholars will receive a payment in advance of commencement of their first semester of study after all required documentation and proof of enrolment has been received by the Elevate team. This payment is designed to help with initial relocation and study costs associated with beginning university. Quarterly payments are then received following reporting. Reporting forms part of our welfare and scholar support. Scholars are able to study part-time, in which case their quarterly payments are halved and the scholarship duration is doubled. So they still receive the same amount overall. Payments are paid out at the maximum duration of the scholarship or the maximum duration of the degree, whichever is shortest. And then you can use your payments in a way that best suits you. There's no requirement to report your payments or report how you spend that money. They may help with costs of living, or they may help with study-related resources or travel-related expenses, to name a few. So Elevate scholars are able to hold more than one scholarship, but it is your responsibility to make sure that holding a second scholarship does not impact your eligibility for an Elevate scholarship. So we recommend if you do receive a second scholarship, that you contact your university scholarships office or wherever you're receiving that scholarship to ensure that having an Elevate scholarship won't impact that second scholarship. So we'll move on to application logistics. So no interviews are conducted. It is application only. There is an online portal where you submit your application, but if there are options for alternative ways to apply. If you're looking at those alternative application pathways, we ask that you please get in contact with the team to kind of understand a bit more of what we expect from those alternative forms of application. So ATSE is committed to providing inclusive and equitable access to all potential applicants. If for any reason you are unable to submit written responses to the questions in the application form, we'll accept things like a video of self or a kind of submitted document. But yes, please get in touch with us if you are looking to submit an application in this way. Applicants must still convey responses to the question if they choose this alternative response pathway, as you'll still get marked by the same 3 key selection criteria as all the other applicants. So applicants must apply by 5 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time on Friday, the 30th of August. So this is Canberra, Sydney, Melbourne time. There will be no extensions to this deadline, and we will not accept any late applications. So we recommend you start your application early and try to submit it prior to that deadline. The portal saves as your application as you go, and you can revisit it anytime until you have submitted your application. If you have submitted your application too early or you'd like to make changes, if you get in touch with the team well before the deadline, we can reopen that for you. Assessment is in September and October, and offers are made in early November. The assessment of applications, so they're assessed by an expert selection committee, which is composed of representatives from industry, academia, and government with a diverse range of experiences, and for who are selected as they are inclusive leaders and support the objectives of the Elevate program. So applications for the 2026 cohort of the Elevate program will open in mid-2025. So if you are looking to commence study in 2026, so that is the round you will be applying for. I will now hand back over to Sibylla to talk about the application process.
Thank you, Emily. So before you begin with your application, we highly recommend, implore you to read the Elevate program guidelines and FAQs. There's a section also on information for applicants when you first register in the portal, but those documents will provide you with everything that you need. When you're applying for the program, you'll first need to undergo an eligibility checker, where you'll answer some questions regarding the 3 criteria that Emily outlined just before. Provided that you pass the eligibility check, you'll then be invited to complete the application form. You can review the whole application form as you progress and if you wish to. And on the right-hand side of each of the question boxes, there's an ability for you to seek further elaboration and guidance on what we're looking for from each question. So I'd recommend looking at those too to make your application as good as it can be. The application portal will save as you go through it. So you can start now and work through it over the next 6 weeks. You'll be asked to provide some contact information. These details won't be passed on to assessors. The applications will be de-identified. And you'll also be asked to list up to 3 degree preferences. They should be in order of your preference and don't have to be the same as your UAC preferences. Please ensure that they're all eligible degrees for the program. For the long response questions, when you're answering the questions, please provide as much detail as possible and use specific examples. There are word limits specified next to each question, and the long response questions are limited to 250 to 300 words. We ask that you please don't use your name in the long response questions for those purposes of de-identification. That's quite important. We really want to hear your personal story. That helps us to understand why you're a suitable candidate for the Elevate program. You can tell us about your passion for STEM subjects and your curiosity to explore the world. You might choose to tell us about your aspirations, about the challenges and barriers you've encountered that have impacted your aspirations to study a STEM degree and or pursue a STEM career, and what you've done to overcome those challenges, what your achievements have been, what's made you feel most proud of yourself. The section's flexible and you're welcome to share as much or as little information as you would like, up to 350 words. We also would love to know about the benefit of an Elevate scholarship, what goals you have and how would a scholarship help you to achieve those? How would Elevate help bring about the benefits at the personal, academic and or professional level beyond the financial benefit? Another of the long answer questions is why you're interested in your chosen course of study. Please answer from both a personal and or professional perspective. Where do you see yourself personally and professionally by the time you graduate? How will a STEM degree in the chosen course of study help you to grow and achieve those personal and professional aspirations? Then we have identity. Applicants will be given the choice of how they identify. All applicants will be considered for scholarships, even if they don't identify or choose not to disclose how they identify. However, as we identified through our consultations with the sector when designing the program, diversity will be highly regarded in the selection process. You're only able to submit one application, and applicants who submit multiple will only have one go through to the assessment panel. So application recommendations from our last Scholar cohort, 2023. If you're applying to Elevate, please ensure once again that you read the guidelines thoroughly, available at the link that Georgie is going to post in the chat. You can also check out the downloadable PDF, which summarises the commonalities that we found from successful applications last year. Also, we'll pop that link in the chat for you as well. Some examples of what worked last year were recognition and explanation of the benefits that accessing inclusive networks, such as with scholars and inside and outside the program, can provide. And also the description of how the applicant's identity and or being a member of an underrepresented group has impacted their access to opportunities where applicable. And there are some others listed on there, so I'd encourage you to have a look at that. Please be aware that individual feedback on applications won't be provided. A similar recommendations document will be produced following the close of the application process. And we have some frequently asked questions on the screen there. Is there an ATAR requirement? No, there is not a grade requirement. And are you able to study part-time? Yes, we absolutely support scholars to study part-time. In that case, the quarterly payments are then paid at 50% over double the duration of your scholarship. Am I eligible if I start my degree in semester 2 this year? No, I'm afraid not. You have to be commencing study in 2025 to be eligible for the program. Do you need to have a university offer to apply? No, you can upload your letter of offer if you have it, but applicants without offers won't be penalised. If you have a letter of offer to study in 2024, but you're deferring to 2025, please upload your letter of deferral. So yeah, they're just some of the ones that we have. Check out the FAQ section on our website. We're now going to have a little Q&A, and I'm just going to hand over to Emily, who will talk us through how we're going to do that.
Thanks, Sibylla. Yeah, so we'll do Q&A now. We've had Georgie help answer some of the questions in the chat, but has identified a few to answer. So if you have any questions you'd like to ask, please feel free to type them in the chat. So we'll start answering questions. If we could bring Sibylla back, please. Sorry.
Okay, thanks, Emily. So we've got a few questions that have come through the Q&A that are open in the chat, and we're going to go through just looking at the ones that have been upvoted. So there's one from Zoe here: commencing in 2025, fine for starting at the start of the year and mid-year. Yes, that is correct. We have one here: actuarial science is sometimes administered by the business faculty, but usually falls under STEM. Is this eligible? And I'm going to hand that one to Georgie to answer. Oh, sorry, she's going to put it in the chat, I think. Is that right, Georgie? Well, Emily looks like she's got the answer. Sorry.
I could answer that one. Yes, so actuarial science, yeah, if it's clearly a maths degree, it is eligible for the program. So yeah, just when you're choosing actuarial science courses or courses kind of under that faculty of business that might be considered STEM courses, I just yeah, probably just recommend talking about kind of why you'd like to do that degree as linked to STEM. But actuarial science, yes, would be considered an eligible degree.
Okay, we've got another one here. Hi, we attended another Women in STEM scholarship event, and all scholars there are studying computer science technology. Are you mainly looking for women in computer science technology, as well as women looking to study in other areas of STEM, say physics? Might have a chance for Elevate program scholarship too. Elevate is across the spectrum of STEM. It is not relegated to computer science and technology. So yes, if you're interested in studying physics, please consider applying for Elevate. We'd love to read your application. The next one I have is the guidelines say it's important to have industry related projects. However, the application does not have a section to describe the nature of this collaboration. Also, is there a template format for the application? You can put your industry, if you have a relationship with industry and you'd like to talk about that collaboration, you can put that in the open field long answer text. I do believe we have a downloadable version of the application. Is that right, Emily?
Yeah, so we have downloadable versions of the applications online. So if you do prefer reading a PDF of the application, as for the talking about industry collaboration, it sounds like you're talking about the postgraduate application. So there's no space to talk about industry collaboration in the undergraduate section. Yeah, as Sibylla said, if that's something you're interested in, is looking at industry, you can definitely explore it in the open discussion question in the undergraduate application. However, it's not a component of assessment, so you won't get marked on it, whereas that is one of the kind of key criteria for the postgraduate application. But if you are applying for an undergraduate degree and interested in that industry collaboration, that sounds great, and definitely talk about it.
Thank you, Emily. We've got another one here. Some universities offer a general Bachelor of Science. In that case, would our choice of major qualify us for the priority disciplines? Yes. So if you could elaborate on your Bachelor of Science major choice and the area of STEM that you're passionate about and would like to commit to and study, that would help us to assess your application. What happens if I am successful in gaining a scholarship, but I defer commencement of my degree? Emily, would you like to take that one?
Yeah, so you're allowed to start in semester 2. Unfortunately, if you receive a scholarship, you're not able to defer your scholarship to the next calendar year. So you would be required to reapply for the program if you were successful, but actually want to start in 2026.
Thank you, Emily. We have a participant asking how many applications are made each year. This is my first year with the Elevate program, and I do know it's highly competitive, but the lovely Emily who's with me has a very good head for numbers and remembering. So I'm going to hand that to Emily as well.
Thanks, Sevilla. So we receive a lot of applications for the program in the last, consistently over the last 2 years, we've received over 1,000 applications each year. So it is a competitive process, but we still recommend that you consider applying. You don't know until you don't know. So.
Sorry, I started talking with the mute on. Hi all, I've deferred my current university application at Flinders. However, I haven't received a letter of deferral. Will I need to contact them so that I can have this for my application? Emily, would you like to?
Yeah, so if you don't have that deferral, that's not a problem. It'll be something you need if you're successful, but it's not something you need for the application. So you can just, yeah, you don't need to chase them down for that if you don't have it. That's not a problem. But it is something you're expected to have if you are successful. So that's important to know.
Hi, I would like to do the Masters of Computer Science. Also, I can only study part-time. Are there any time duration to complete this course? Can you please explain how this scholarship works? Oh my gosh, sorry, my questions just jumped around. And here we go. Can you please explain how this scholarship payment works for me, i.e. the payment methods? Yeah, so if you decide to go part-time, then we would just pay the payments at half, at the 50% for the double the duration. So you'd still get paid just half the rate. What is the success rate so far of applicants? And Emily, are you able to answer that?
So unfortunately, I don't think we're able to share the success rates. As I said before, it is competitive. Unfortunately, we can't give a scholarship to everyone who applies. There are limited spots, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't apply. We definitely recommend people from all backgrounds apply going into any STEM study.
So, Emily's yours jumping around. Mine's jumping around a little bit. I'm sorry. I'm hoping to study a Bachelor of Accounting. Is that a part of STEM and eligible? Answers that, Emily.
I can answer that one. So accounting is usually under that kind of business school, so that wouldn't be eligible for the program. I've got one question here which I'll put out because I think it's quite a good one. Is the age a matter? Younger age gives more of a chance, and I'd just like to answer that one. There's no age there's no age advantage for the program. So we encourage mature age students to apply, people with caring responsibilities. So definitely not a factor of assessment at all is your age. That's not a thing that we consider. So
Thanks, Emily. There's also one here that probably follows on from that a bit. Is there somewhere in the application that considers chronic illness which has significantly affected study? So yes, we want to hear in your personal story about the barriers that you may have experienced to participating in STEM education. Elevate's really about providing the best opportunity for those who really have a passion and dedication to STEM to access STEM education and the profession. If a degree can lead you into an ineligible area of study, say medical science. Oh, sorry, it jumped around on me again. I have lost that one. Emily, can you see that one?
Apologies, Sibylla, that was myself. I've just popped it off to our side chat. Apologies.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. What is the time duration to complete the course? Any due date? Emily, can you answer that? Do we put a due date on, or is it more related to the universities?
yes, so there is a maximum duration that we'll provide funding for. So for the undergraduate category, the maximum duration at a full-time rate is 3 years. So if you do take longer to complete your undergraduate degree, you won't be receiving further funding past that 3 years. So that is something to keep in mind. If you do go down to part-time rate, as we said before, that the payments are half, but that duration is doubled to account for that. So that can help. But yeah, that's something to keep in mind.
Are the social events and mentoring conducted in each state during the year? Yes, so we conduct a lot of things online because we have scholars all over. But we do try and facilitate person-to-person connection in states and in universities where we have several scholars, or we know that there are lots of scholars in Queensland, for example. We'll try and provide opportunities to facilitate that face-to-face connection. For the mentoring component, we have peer mentoring, which we kind of connect our scholars online, and we try and keep them in the same state and location so that there is that potential for them to connect and meet up in person. And with a more kind of structured professional mentor relationship, it depends on the criteria that is identified in terms of what they're looking for in that mentor-mentee relationship, and what works best for busy people to catch up and share information. I have another one here. I am already working in an engineering firm without completing a STEM degree, but have knowledge. However, I want to open new pathways. Is this scholarship suitable, and which one would you recommend? So that's great that you've already got industry exposure. And I would absolutely encourage you to consider applying for Elevate. I'm not going to provide you advice on which STEM qualification that you should study, because I think that that's something that you can reflect about your experience in the engineering world and what you're truly passionate about. So have a think about that when you're determining what kind of qualification you might pursue, and then check if it's eligible for Elevate, and please apply if so.
There's a couple of questions, Sibylla, that I'll just feed up into the thing, if that's okay.
Okay, sure.
Is MBA focused on is MBA MBA focused on tech a high priority?
I can answer that one. Sorry, I'll just get you to mute, Sibylla.
Sorry.
Yes, can answer that one. So it sounds like you're talking about our leadership category. So we have an information session on that one tomorrow, but I can quickly answer that one now. So MBA is considered for our kind of a degree considered for our leadership scholars, considering that next step from their STEM career. So it's actually not judged by those industry priority areas. You just need to have a previous STEM qualification, if that makes sense. But if you're interested in more about the leadership category, we are holding an information session on that tomorrow. At the same time, today is focused on our undergraduate category, so those commencing bachelor degrees in STEM.
Wonderful. Thanks, Emily. There's another one that was, are you mainly looking for women in computer science and technology, or women looking to study other areas of STEM, say physics? Would they have a chance for the Elevate program scholarship too?
Oh, yep, I think we answered that one before. So while we have priority areas that we've identified, you're definitely welcome to apply if you're not in that priority area, and that doesn't mean you're not going to be considered. We consider all sorts of applications, so definitely still apply. It's always good to note that there are those priority areas, but just because you're not in that priority area doesn't mean you won't be considered for a scholarship.
And another common question that's coming through is, are you able just to touch again on part-time payments and how they work, please?
Yeah, no problem. So part-time payments can be a bit confusing. So basically, so we pay quarterly. So you receive 4 payments a year. So they usually have 2 payments a semester. So if you're going part-time, what we do is we halve that quarterly payment and we extend your scholarship out for a semester each time you go part-time. So for example, a student doing a part-time Bachelor of Science degree, which is usually a 3-year degree, instead of receiving, I think the quarterly payments are usually about 2,000, you'd actually receive 1,000 per quarter, but your scholarship would go on for 6 years instead of 3. So you'd still receive the same $30,000 all up. It's just smaller amounts over a longer period of time. And we check in with you as you're studying, whether you've decided to take on a full-time or part-time semester. So there's flexibility. You don't need to do entirely full-time or entirely part-time.
Wonderful. Thanks, Emily. Just also need to touch on a few questions that come through about deferring the commencement of their degree if they've obtained an offer this year but haven't commenced studying.
Yeah, I can answer that. So if you're deferring your offer to the next calendar year, you're eligible to apply. If you've got that deferral offer, it would be great if you could upload it, but if you don't, that's not a problem. You will need it to receive payments if you do get a scholarship. So make sure you are able to get it if you do make that decision, because that will be something we need from you, but you don't need it to apply for the program.
Wonderful. Thanks, Emily. Sibylla, you might be able to answer this one. In the personal story, is it important to prioritise personal achievements, or is it more surrounding passions?
I think if you can give us a flavour of both in your application, that would be ideal. We really want to know who you are and what you're about. If you've anything you're proud of, so yes, your achievements, but also your passions will help us to form a picture of who you are and how you're going to evolve and grow and contribute to the STEM ecosystem as you develop through your university career and professional life.
Wonderful, thank you. We have someone who's asked if I'm worried that if others are using AI and those kinds of tools that I won't have a chance against a robot. Are there tools in place to ensure that there is no use of AI?
can answer that one. So we don't check for AI in applications. There's a few reasons why we don't do that. But I don't think that should be something you're worried about, just because the applications are really about getting to know you and your passions and why you want to study a particular area of STEM, and the kind of more personalized and more kind of true to you that is, I think the better chance your application will have. So while ChatGPT might write a really eloquent response, it probably won't be very detailed or human-like. And our assessors tend to really like humans, and they can usually tell, they're very smart people, and they can usually tell what's a person and what's a chatbot. So I definitely wouldn't be concerned. I wouldn't worry that you're competing against a chatbot. You're competing against a lot of really great applicants, and definitely put in an application and just worry about telling your story.
Thanks, Emily. The next one is, do environmental disciplines fall under a priority degree? For example, environmental science engineering or a Bachelor of Science studying things like conservation and biodiversity?
I think that those majors are certainly aligned with national science priorities, so we would encourage you to apply. But yeah, we're not favouring that per se, but yes, they would be considered under the science faculties.
Wonderful. Another question which I can probably answer is, we have quite a few questions about PhD and so postgraduate and leadership scholarships. Just reminding participants that we are hosting a session tomorrow at the same time on these categories, and I'll pop a link in the chat for you. The next question is there a set number of scholarships available, or does it depend on the applications?
I can answer that one. We do have a set number of scholarships available. That's made in consultation with the Department of Industry, Science and Resources. So that's not a figure we publish until we've awarded those scholarships. So unfortunately, we won't be able to tell you how many scholarships are available. Still recommend you apply, even though it's a competitive process.
Thanks, Emily. The next one is, I've heard accounting can be under technology.
I think we may have answered that one. Emily might have
Apologies,
answered that one
sorry, there's quite a few in there.
Thank you for jumping in, Georgie. Georgie has kindly jumped in to facilitate the questions for us, just because they were jumping around a bit on my screen. But yes, that one, I think Emily said, falls under the business faculty quite often.
Apologies for the double up. If you've received an offer from a different STEM degree that is not on your application, would the scholarship still apply for that particular degree?
That's a good question. So yeah, we get this a lot. I definitely recommend putting your degree preferences as what you're most likely to study next year and not your UAC preferences. Don't worry so much about whether you'll get into them or not, but think about more what you're going to study. As long as your degree is still eligible, that's usually fine. However, I'd keep in mind if the assessors kind of believe that they've chosen you based on going into a certain area and you're kind of going into an area that we wouldn't consider eligible, then there might be some issues if you change to a really, really different degree, but you're still, there's flexibility. So if that makes sense. So you don't have to stick to your degree preferences in your application. We understand that applications close in August and you don't have to make that decision till January next year, but do keep in mind what degrees are eligible. Sibylla, did you want to add to that at all?
No, I think you answered that beautifully. Thank you. I think I've just accidentally put my hand up. Sorry.
The next two questions kind of go in together. Are there any time commitments to the program once it starts? And if so, are there any events that are compulsory to attend? And a further question to that, incorporating the events, are the events and workshops mostly online?
So the events are primarily online because our applicants are all over Australia. Sorry, our scholars are all over Australia, but as previously discussed, we do try and facilitate face-to-face where possible. Our events are not compulsory, but we certainly encourage our scholars to attend, because part of the beauty of Elevate is that we are creating a community. We're helping you to build your networks from that early university career stage that will be foundational for you as you transition into the workforce. So yes, we definitely encourage them, but we're not going to wrap you over the knuckles if you can't attend them all. Sorry, Georgie, can you repeat the first part of the question? I feel like I answered the last two parts.
Sorry, I have dismissed the question. I'm so sorry. I actually can't find it.
No,
I will try and find it, but if we could go on to the next question.
sure.
If medical science can lead a pathway to dentistry or medicine, does that make a Bachelor of Medical Science an ineligible degree?
Yes, I'm afraid that degree is not one that is one of our eligible degrees. And if you started and transitioned into one of the ineligible degrees, then unfortunately that would mean that you were no longer able to hold Elevate. Emily, did you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, no, not really. Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. Bachelor of Medical Science isn't an eligible degree because it's got that pathway to medicine and to being a doctor. So it does fall under ineligible as it's for a specific occupation.
Thank you. So this one again is relating to payments. If I undertook a 5-year double degree where I study STEM for all 5 years, would I only receive payments for a 3-year period?
Yes, so the scholarship funding is for a maximum duration of 3 years. So even if your double degree does extend out to 5 years at a full-time rate, we can only give you payments for those first 3 years. So something to keep in mind.
Thank you. There's some questions in relation to regarding providing evidence of acceptance into university and letters of offer from the university, and do they need to provide them? So if you're able to touch on that again, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, I can touch on that. So there is an option where you can provide a letter of offer if you have it, but there's no requirement to, and if you don't have it, your application isn't less likely to succeed than other applications. If you are successful, there is a requirement to provide all of that, but not for the application process.
Wonderful. We have some couple of questions regarding mentoring. Is there a mentor matching, or is it based on location? And if we are successful in receiving a scholarship, would we become mentors or something?
So initially we put you in, or we give you opportunity to access peer mentoring in your first years, and that sort of builds the community that you need, that can support you through your studies. If you're seeking professional mentoring in later study years, then yes, we do some mentor matching. It can be based on location, but we'd be also looking at things like discipline, what your ambitions are, diversity criteria. Some people want to be matched with someone who has a similar background or experience. So yes, we do that. And then there was another question around becoming a mentor. Look, we would love our Elevate scholars to become Elevate alumni that want to become mentors for other Elevate scholars. That is an ideal situation for us. There's no criteria that says that you have to do that. But yeah, if you have a great experience with Elevate and can support another young scholar, then we would absolutely encourage that.
Wonderful. There's one, applicants from regional and rural areas who may have less access to opportunities considered equally compared to those who live in cities.
Again, in terms of the ability for our applicants to share their personal stories, their passions and any barriers that they have experienced in relation to accessing STEM education, certainly we have a focus on facilitating engagement from regional and remote individuals who just might not have the access that others in big cities have. So I would definitely encourage you to apply.
Thank you. The next one is, I would also like to know if agri-tech is supported.
We might need to know a bit more about what that degree is, whether it's a Bachelor of Agri-Technology or what degree it is. That can help us check if it's eligible. So if you'd like to email our team just with the full name of that program and we can let you know, that would be great.
Someone has said that I'm already working in an engineering firm without completing a STEM degree, but have knowledge. However, I want to open new pathways. Is this scholarship suitable?
Thanks, Georgie. That was one we answered a little bit earlier. No, that's okay. It was jumping around a lot, so I really appreciate you jumping in to facilitate the questions, but yeah, we did answer that one earlier.
So we have the questions in relation to biomedicine being eligible, and in kind of conjunction of that is if we do medical science with the intent to go into research instead of medicine.
Yes, so we did have a question similar to this earlier as well, and unfortunately those qualifications are not eligible for the Elevate Scholarship.
The next one is of a similar vein, majoring in genetics, biological sciences. Would that be considered a priority area of STEM for the scholarship?
I can answer that one if you'd like. So, sorry, I can. Yes. So they're not priority disciplines for the undergraduate category, but they are eligible. So definitely still apply. Good to note that they're not priority disciplines, but that doesn't mean you won't get a scholarship. And we still recommend. We still tell you should apply.
We have one here. Is there a second round of offers if applicants that received the scholarship become ineligible due to changing degrees or not receiving offers at university?
So there isn't a second round per se. We do offer scholarships in November, and yeah, we do get some become ineligible. So sometimes your scholarship might be offered later, but there's not a second round or anything like that.
There is also a question here about double degrees for Bachelor of Science, Bachelor of Laws. I know that was touched on in the presentation. If you just wouldn't mind revisiting that, that would be fantastic.
Yep, so we support those who are undertaking double degrees. That's fine if you're choosing to do a STEM subject in conjunction with a degree that is not offered by a STEM faculty. That's fine as long as you're doing the STEM degree as well. That's great. Georgie, I'm just going to jump in because there is one here that someone has been advised to ask the question by student support at the university that they've been speaking with, and that is that if people do not complete their degree for any reason, do they have a responsibility to repay any already paid scholarship funds? Elevate works to try our very best to ensure that you are supported to complete your degree, but we understand that sometimes there are factors beyond our control that might cause someone to need to defer or not complete their degree if they've received a portion of the scholarship and then decide to not to pursue it, then we would not seek to recoup the funds. The payments would just stop as soon as we were alerted. So we do have a process with payments where there are surveys and your payment is associated with the survey, because the survey is basically to indicate that you're still enrolled. So if you didn't complete the survey and we couldn't determine your enrolment, then we wouldn't be able to continue those payments, but we would not be seeking to recoup them. Emily, did you have anything further to add to that?
No, I think you covered it.
Just only a few questions left. My first preference is a Bachelor of Engineering and a Science double degree. Is that recommended what I list when I intend? Sorry, I cannot read that properly. If my first preference is a Bachelor of Engineering and Science double degree, is it recommended that I list what I intend on majoring in and why?
I think we understand that sometimes you might go into a Bachelor of Engineering and you'll do a number of different engineering subjects before you determine what your major is. But I think because it's such a competitive process, the more you can tell us, the better. So if you know you want to be an engineer and you have some idea about how you believe your contribution as an engineer would benefit you and benefit society at large, then that would be really useful for us to know.
Wonderful. Will you be at an advantage of being accepted for a scholarship if you've already taken STEM related subjects in high school or extracurriculars, or is it based on grades, etc.?
Elevate's fairly unique in that we're not looking for your prior academic achievements via ATAR or grade point average. We really want to know about your story, your commitment to STEM. So again, provide us with a holistic view of why Elevate would support you and why you want to study in STEM.
Wonderful. And the last question, do scholarships get taxed?
I can answer that one. So there is a page on the Australian Tax Office website about scholarships as a tax calculator to see if you have to pay tax on a scholarship you might be receiving or not, or you should also reach out to get professional tax advice. So we're unable to provide that advice to applicants or scholars. And we're also unable to withhold tax from a scholarship. So that is your responsibility to check if your scholarship should be getting taxed and how much tax should be withheld.
Okay, it looks like we don't have any further Q&A in the chat. So we may just leave it there unless anyone has anything further they want to pop in now. We've just seen. No. Okay, no problem. Well, in that case, I just want to thank you all for your fantastic questions and for taking the time to join us today. If you do have any questions that haven't been answered today and you think of something after this, please feel free to email us at elevate@atsi.org.au. Links to further information and resources have been put in the chat for your reference, and we'll also send the recording of this session via email after. So please continue to review the FAQs as they'll be updated periodically. And we do use these sessions to inform what goes in those FAQs to make sure that we're giving as much information as we can that you can revisit on the website. And we are really looking forward to receiving your applications. And I just wanted to say a big thank you to our interpreters today, Mel, Rebecca and Priscilla. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks, everyone.